Are you the ultimate self-starter? Welcome to KIRSTIcast, the show where we hope to illuminate, entertain, and engage our listeners, helping them create the life they want. I'm your host, Kirsti Manna. Welcome everyone to KIRSTIcast. If you're listening or watching us on YouTube, I'm really happy you are here with us today. And I am not alone. I'm with Bill Warner, who of course I've been married to for a really, really long time, in case you're tuning back in and you know that about us. And he is the mad scientist behind all the lighting and the technical stuff and everything, because as you guys know, I love to say I'm technically challenged. I'm proud of that, actually. I'm learning. I'm getting better. Well, today I'm excited to welcome a really special guest, and we're going to get to that in a minute in our Shero Spotlight. And I want to talk for a second about entrepreneurs, but not just regular entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. Are you a female entrepreneur? I am. I'm a female entrepreneur. I own several of my own businesses. I have a music publishing company here in Nashville, Kirsti Manna Songs. And I've had a lot of success with that company. And also, I own a company called Songwriter Girl, where I host events for girls and women. And have been doing that for about 12 years in Nashville and other places in the United States, and actually in Europe too. Well, you might not know this, but there are lots of female entrepreneurs in the United States. And if you're a female entrepreneur, if I could say the word, that would be good too. And you are in really good company. Did you know that in the U.S. alone, there are 12.3 million women-based businesses? I didn't even know that. I guess I never thought that there were that many. Did you? I thought there were less. And also I read that U.S. women-based businesses generate something like 1.8, get ready, wait for it, trillion dollars a year, and that women own 40% of the businesses in the U.S. So congratulations, female entrepreneurs. We're doing it, and I'm excited that we are. I would love to hear from you if you are a female entrepreneur, and I would love to hear what you're doing with your business. I would love to have you as a guest on this podcast, because I love women who are self-starters, who are really going for what they believe in and know how to focus. So you might be thinking, well, I want to start my own business. How do I do that? Well, I really think one of the first things that you need to do is you need to focus on one place, one thing that you're really passionate about. You need to think about, who are your people? Who's your audience? Who's your market? Who are you going to target? I know when we were working with Songwriter Girl, we did so much of launching and learning, to quote a friend of ours, Rich Obertot's. We were always trying new things in the first few years of that business to figure out what was going to work the best for us and what was going to give us the most traction. So we learned after a short time who our target audience was for Songwriter Girl. That's just one example. The publishing world's a little bit different. It's kind of broad, because you have all these songs that maybe you've written yourself, or that maybe you publish that other people have written, and that is a really broad base. You want to have different bases covered. But basically my catalog focuses on country music. That's where I've had all of my success. Another thing that you need to do is you need to learn how to hold yourself accountable for what you want to do with your business. The mistakes you make aren't always bad. It's not always bad to make a mistake. Sometimes a mistake can really, catapult you to a place that helps you learn and have that big aha moment. So don't worry about being wrong at something in your business, because heaven knows I've certainly been wrong many times in my businesses. Also, don't be afraid to ask people for help. Go to other female entrepreneurs, other female business owners who are successful. See what they're doing. How did they get started? I always love to say this, and it's so true. Success leaves traces. And so I think it's always good to look at other people that you might consider your competition. Hey, that's great. It's good to have competition. It makes us all be better. and go and talk to those women and see, what did they do? What were some things that they had in place? What mistakes did they learn from? Always stay committed to yourself and to what you believe in. I always have had people tell me, oh, you can't do that. That's the wrong name for your company, that kind of thing. But I really kept my faith and I kept my vision in what I wanted to accomplish. And again, I always go back to this goals. I think goals are so important. Don't bite off more than you can chew at the beginning. Really think about how you're going to achieve what you want to achieve big picture wise and get there starting with baby steps. Never stop learning. Always study business, always study what other people are doing, and empower yourself by who you surround yourself with. And don't forget to develop the brand that's you. Who are you? What's your brand? What's your hook? What is the most important, invitable, and likable thing about what you're selling? You want people to crave what you have to offer. You want them to crave it. You want them to not be able to live without it. So study those things about yourself and read all you can about marketing and branding. One of my favorite books that I ever read in regards to marketing is called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And it's by authors Reese and Trout. And you should pick that book up. It's a really easy read. You could read it in about an hour, and it's really great advice. So I hope you'll check that out. Last but not least, learn to have a thick skin, because it's tough out there in business. And you don't want to be emotional about decisions you're making and about the steps you're taking to grow your business. I hope all those tips help you in learning how to be the most amazing, ultimate self-starter you can be, for being an amazing female entrepreneur. We are going to be right back with the Shero Spotlight with one of the coolest female entrepreneurs you'll ever meet. Stick around. Stay tuned for the Shero Spotlight. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming back and checking out our Shero Spotlight. I'm really excited today to have this guest with me. I met her several years ago through a friend of mine, and she's a University of Pittsburgh graduate with a BA in journalism and communications. Gotta love a girl who knows how to communicate. And for 3 years, she's proudly co-owned Yajagoff Media LLC. It's a multimedia company that encompasses marketing, public relations, and a manner to distribute information via an amazing podcast. You must go listen to it. And her current clients range from Western PA unions and EMS clients to Wahlburgers and a Honda dealership. I think I know who that one is. She has 3 busy children as ages 17, 13, and 11, and she sits as a director of the North Hills School Board, a place where she feels she has a voice as a mother and a contributor, and that's really cool. So many moms, I guess, don't have a voice like that. She's served as a marketing and fundraising director at the Team Pittsburgh DEC Deck Hockey for 8 years, CCD Faith Formation Committee member for 3 years, and she's the Ross Township Democratic Committee woman. Wow. Please welcome to our show, Rachael Rennebeck.
Hey, it's such a pleasure to be on. Thank you so much. You said that so much better than what it really is.
Well, you know how things read. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, right. It's so true. I know you write these things down and you're like, does this matter? I'm not sure, but somehow.
Is this really me?
Yeah,
is this my
right.
life?
Yeah, right.
Because you read, you read a list of all the things that you do, and it just seems like a lot. And I know that you do a lot, and I'm always inspired by women who hold it all together and are also doing things that are entrepreneurial and are purposeful. And so that's why I really wanted to have you on today and talk to you a little bit. I just have to ask you this first question. What inspired you to leave your full-time job and pursue other interests?
Such a good question. That's one of those questions where you think about it and you could give 800 answers because, you were talking in a podcast prior to this about what does it really mean to be happy kind of thing. And I guess we all go through these peaks and valleys of what happy is. And, we could say we don't like our jobs, but ultimately the job I had prior to this, the career I had prior to this. I loved it. The problem that I don't even know that it was a problem, the reason that I was inspired to leave it was because it was a small marketing company, family run. And I started thinking, why am I not doing this? Because I would be able to give it a personal voice,
Oh, yeah.
and not to say that I knew more or thought that I could do better, but I think it was the manner in which, or the direction that I saw a company like that going could work for me. And so it inspired me to say, listen, I'm, getting back into the groove of things, because, my story, Kirsti, is that I was a reporter for a newspaper and then wrote for their magazines and stayed home with my kids. And so when I went back into what I called the real world,
Yeah.
it was that agency. And so that was the first time I was introduced to social media, to this new world where journalism and marketing collided. And it wasn't like that before. So I had to kind of understand what that was and how to balance it all. And I was in my early 40s. So I thought, is this something I want to start doing now? Is I like what I'm doing and I'm going to leave it and go do this on my own in my 4th decade of life. Really? I don't know. So, it was obviously, scary and risky. And, but somehow, you just kind of get that, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it mentality, and just make it go.
And you go for it. And then all the doors open. And, it's so funny this, you said the part about being 40, because I think that women, as we wake up on a certain birthday,
Yes.
decades, like 25 was really, impacting me, 30, but then 40, when I woke up at 40, it was like, you know what? I don't give a crap.
Right.
This is who I am. This is what I want to do. And this is what I know how to do. And then you just start doing it. And I was just, this whole show, the whole theme of this show is about entrepreneurial women. And, there's so many women in this country that have their own businesses. A lot of people don't even realize how many women run businesses. So what is one of the most serendipitous opportunities you've ever had?
I would say, as far as serendipitous, it would be, referencing the fact that I was at this company, and it was finally an opportunity for me to be creative in so many different ways. And so part of my job was public relations, which I very much, enjoyed, probably more than any of the other facets of the job. And I would have to write a press release that was geared toward reporters. And having been a reporter, I think it gave me that edge, because I knew what we really wanted to read, not the boring, who, what, when, where, why. I sort of made it a lively story. And so my job was to basically make that creative enough for all the entities and the outlets. And John Chamberlain, who is how I know you, actually, he was one of the people, he had the Yajagoff podcast, and he was one of the people who I was distributing these press releases to. And we were lucky enough to work together on a couple different projects, whether it be the circus or Cirque du Soleil or Monster Jam. And we would get to talking, and we realized that we had really similar ideas. And so, you kind of tuck that, how that goes. You tuck it, like you said, you don't realize as you age that you're gaining experience.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, you're creating this sort of Rolodex of people, right? That you don't even know why you're meeting them, but for some reason it makes sense, and you know it, but you just don't know why yet. Yeah. And so that was happening. And so when I went on my own, I told John, and the funniest story, John obviously is my partner now, but the funny story that I tell all the time is, when I came home, my husband is in the construction field, and it was holiday time. And he said, give it a month and, try to get a few clients and such, and we'll be okay. And I would send John, some opportunities that I thought I had with clients, and he would send me job openings. And I was like, stop sending me job openings. I don't want to work for somebody.
I want a job.
Yeah, stop. And he finally realized that that's what I meant. And it's a joke now, because he says I wasn't clear on that. But, little by little, then we started just bouncing ideas off of each other. He is the EMS person in this. And, he already had EMS clients and such. So he would ask me from an outsider standpoint what my thoughts were. And we found ourselves talking daily about these separate clients. And so, all of a sudden we had this aha moment that there was a reason that we kept, bouncing these ideas off of each other. And it might be a good idea to have this unique balance of male, female.
Yeah. Well, I remember when he told me he met you, and he was, you guys were going to partner up with the podcast. And I thought that was really great. And I I love what you said a few minutes ago, and I think it's really encouraging to young people and people that are, our age, and is that, when you're younger, it's a really weird thing to me how youth command so many things in all different kinds of jobs, and in a way, it's so backwards because, it might look really good, but at the same time, it's the experience and the knowledge that you gain. And you realize that, like we're talking about when you get to be 40 or over, all the ground you've run over and all the people you've met and all the things you've learned, mistakes you've made, all those things teach you a lot. And you cannot sell that kind of knowledge.
That's exactly right.
It is something that you have to live through and you have to learn about yourself. And one of the best things I ever did in my life was I studied with this acting coach in master classes for 3 years. And it really taught me to be a really good listener. And that ended up really helping me as a songwriter and in my business with Songwriter Girl and as a mentor and that kind of thing, just because it really taught me how to really listen to the other person, because I've got this excitable personality and I tend to be interruptive. And I know that about myself. But as it's going on, I'm like, I can't stop myself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
and that's not interruptive, it's interjective, because
okay, there we go. Okay, that's a better word. I'm going to start using that when Bill, my husband, says you're interrupting me. That's great. Perfect. So what do you love about being a podcaster?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I love the ability. I think I've said this before, I did not know what podcasts were. Not like I was this ancient person, but Pittsburgh's a little bit behind the times in everything, right?
Really?
Like just a little step behind here. And podcasts were becoming a thing right around when this transition was. John was really the only gig in town. Sure, there were others, but they were so niche that it wasn't the magnitude of what John was doing.
Right.
And so I was like, but what exactly is it? So you have to kind of, put aside that mainstream media, that traditional resource, and figure out what it is. And so once I did, I did a lot of what you did. I listened to a lot of female-based, entrepreneurial, Rachel Hollis kind of things, where it's like that rah, kind of make you feel good coaching. And I think that it helped me to listen to the various other podcasts, understand there's thousands and thousands and thousands. You could talk about anything over and over, right? But the cool part, I think, is I was a reporter. So I have that built-in inquisitive need to continue to ask questions. And with podcasting, even though there's that edit button, you still have to be prepared on a dime, as you know, to pivot that conversation. That if it's not going the way that you think it's, because let's face it, we're storytellers, right?
Yeah.
So we're asking the question, almost anticipating an answer. But if someone gives an answer that you're not ready for, you have got to be ready, because if you're not, the whole thing kind of goes south. Yeah. So I think I love the spontaneity and the fact that it can be a challenge if that were to happen. And what the heck do you do if that happens? Right.
And that's something too, in the music business, artists go through all this media training about how to answer questions and how to turn a question if they don't like where that's going. That, it takes a lot of ability and practice to do that, especially if you want somebody to talk about something that they're not talking about yet. You only got so much time,
right. Yes.
So that's great. So tell me one of your stay inspired stories. I always love to hear that.
Oh, stay inspired stories. So my go-to had always been, I was 16. I was in this crazy car accident where I was pronounced dead.
Oh, you're kidding. I didn't know this.
Yeah. And so,
wow.
16-year-old girl, I didn't walk for a year. There was this whole trauma around it where I didn't go to school my junior year of high school.
Wow.
The whole you're not going to walk, drama. And fortunately, it took a year, but I was able to walk. And I played basketball. They said, now you're not going to run. And chances are you won't have children. And so
wow. So you defied all the odds.
I defied it. Yeah. Right. So it was one of those things. And it's funny because, again, experiences that you don't realize are happening. I was going to Pitt in Johnstown, and they had this intramural basketball team. And by then I thought, you know what, I'm going to start running again. And, you know, I certainly wasn't in the shape that I was before, but I did it. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I mastered that. So then, you know, life happens, and so fortunate. The first time I tried to have a baby, it was like that. Found out, like,
Wow.
yeah, right. 7 months in, everything was like, okay, you know, there might be this scar tissue. Could you tell us why there would be this scar tissue? You know, and I hadn't thought about it in years, because now it's, you know, 12 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, I was in this car accident, you know, completely leaves my mind. And so, so it was kind of crazy to, you know, thank God, figure out how I was able to also have children and make a family and things that I always wanted, that it didn't deter me. So it became the joke in my family that my car accident allowed me to get into all the colleges I applied, because I wrote an essay about this car accident. But you know, it was definitely that thing where it's like, you just persevere. But I will say it's certainly been trumped in the last 2 years, because my mother was diagnosed, I think, as you know, with liver failure. And we had no idea for years what it was. And upon her diagnosis, she was so far in that, you know, we were pretty much told that it was not going to be in our favor without the help of a living donor. And so, you know, to have gone through have gone through the process, you don't know. It sounds like it's a simple fix, but you know, that is a lot to ask a human being. And so she was fortunate, because she went on a list around Halloween time, and by February she had a donor. And she
that's
last
wonderful.
April had a living transplant in April, and she now this year, 1 year later, looks like she did 10 years ago.
Oh,
And
that's wonderful.
yeah, it is. It just restores your faith in everything, because, you know, when you're going through something like that with a loved one, especially your own parent, it takes on so many layers, because you start to deny everything and wonder, you know, how do I stay strong for my own children, because I'm not strong as a child myself, you know? So definitely my inspiration has become my mother, in the sense that I watched her fight for life. And, you know, you really just, you look at life differently, because you say, what isn't attainable? It just might take time. Right.
You're right.
So
that's wonderful. Wow. Prayers answered, and
yes.
an amazing, inspiring story. That's really, really something. It's a lot to live with, and you're still smiling, and
100 reasons
still rocking on. And your dad is inspiring too, because he had a doo-wop band. And so what's one of the, I know you sang with his band and opened for his band. What is one of the most interesting or impacting artists you ever worked with?
Well, you know, it's funny. I think about, I've been asked that question, and it's easy. John always asked me to tell the story about, you know, James Brown, and how lucky we were to, you know, in my life, as like you, I think we've had conversations like this. It was very natural and normal for my Italian mother to have dinners, Sunday dinners, for whomever was in town. Mary Wilson of the Supremes, Chuck Berry.
Wow.
James Brown coming to town, you know, it was funny. I tell the story that I went to an all-girl Catholic school, and I had gone into school and said that I was with James Brown, and I was sent to the principal's office for lying, and they called home, you know, and my mother was like, no, she really was with James Brown. And so that's always like the fun one. But I was thinking about this, because John and I are actually in the process of putting a show together, and we were trying to bring in the Times from Philadelphia, and they sang Wonderful, Wonderful, and So in Love. And they were booked for this particular event that's coming up. And the guy called me back, and he said, you know what? I just want us to sing I'm Always Chasing Rainbows again, because about 20 years ago, I sang I'm Always Chasing Rainbows with the Times as my backup, because it was my idol, Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz. That was her audition song when she came out of vaudeville.
Oh, so, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Crazy, right? And so that became like, of course it was redone years and years, you know, many times. But so the Times had been doing that song, and you know, I started singing I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, and you know, I performed it with them, you know. So that was a kind of cool moment to be able to say, like, just this in the last couple weeks, where he's like, when I come back to Pittsburgh, we're doing that again.
Oh, like, that's cool. You know, when is that show gonna be? You don't know?
Well, you know what? They are not able to come. So John and I are working on Mary Wilson is a possibility. Martha Reeves is a possibility. Ironically, oh gosh, Smokey Robinson lives here in Pittsburgh part-time.
You're
And
kidding me.
no, and so we're really
Why Pittsburgh?
so
Is he from there or something?
His current wife lives in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, and so he has some family ties here. He's been really, really good to a lot of our media, and so our hope. My father has never worked with him. I've never met him, so we're kind of fingers crossed that maybe that's something that we could work.
I love Tracks of My Tears. That song.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah,
it's so
it's
great.
Such a great era. I really wish that I was born just a little bit sooner, because I would have definitely loved that time.
Well, your dad was born a little bit sooner, so you could say
I live vicariously. Yeah, for sure.
That's so cool. So what is your power word?
Power word. Yeah. Listen, I've heard other people on your podcast give really, really good examples. I could say perseverance, but I think my power word is faith.
Oh, good one.
It's funny because ages and stages of life, right? You don't, again, recognize what it is that you're fortunate that you have. And I think for me, from a mother's perspective, faith doesn't mean that you are this like mega Christian or this like, throwing God at people, because that's not necessarily what people want to hear. And it's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is just this powerful feeling of belief. And whatever it is, whether it is that you're a Christian or not, I think that if you just have that and you instill that, it just leads to so many other qualities that help build your character and make you who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with faith, it's like the word in parentheses is patience, because my gosh, if you're going to really be a faith-filled person, you have to have so much patience about it, because you don't know when that answer is going to come or when the thing you want is going to come. And another thing I learned in acting, because we're all in acting class and we're all there because we want to, learn how to act better and audition better and get parts and stuff. And it was just the whole thing of letting go as an artist, letting go when you're in the scene, letting go of worrying about things. And that was really cathartic for me. And it really helped me a lot in my creativity. I have to say, to get in that mindset, and that's like a faith thing,
Absolutely.
You're going to put your eye on the goal. You're going to believe in what you believe in, what you're trying to work for. And I think, again, too, it's just a thing about having purpose. As we talk, you have so much purpose in your life. You've got all these things that you do in your life. You've got a really purposeful podcast. You give people a lot of great information. You encourage people, and that is really important. It's a really inspiring thing to be like that, I think, to other people, because I know people look up to you, and a lot of your listeners look up to you. I know they must.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that, but it's people like you who give women the channel and the ability to be who we are, and have young girls say, hey, maybe that's something I want to do, or at least that's how I want to be. Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I want you to finish this sentence for me. The number one thing I'm grateful for today is?
I would say my family, for sure. My family's been supportive, to make the changes that I've made later in life, maybe. But let's face it, we're in a society, in a world now where anything goes at any point. Yeah. So maybe 20 years ago, starting over at 40 or embarking on something new at 40 was crazy. But now I think, we've just gotten started. But I think that having the support system and the love of my children and my husband and even my surrounding family, it's so important. And it sounds cliche, but I think, again, having gone through the things that we did with my mom, especially,
sure.
And watching my dad, sometimes I feel like I'm reliving my dad's life. And it's kind of interesting to have seen how it worked out there. And I know what the end result has been. So, so family is sort of always that rock that you come back to.
Well, yes, it's so true. And tragically, there's some people that really don't have good relationships with their families. And so hopefully they have friends that can feel like family to them.
Correct.
Because everybody wants to feel loved and accepted. And so, within a family group. So,
sure.
And you build a family with Yajagoff. You guys have got an extended family.
You're so right. Listen, we just had a picnic this weekend with our team, and it's such a reflection on everybody and how we've all come together and made it work. So yeah, you're right. We're very fortunate.
It's great. So where can our listeners find you online?
So we definitely want you to check out Yajagoff. So it's yajagoff.com, YAJAGOFF.com. And you can check our blog. Every day we write a blog post about basically Jagoffs in Pittsburgh or surrounding, because people have actually sent things in from Hawaii, Arizona, you name it. And so we have that going on. And then on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Yajagoff. And then I am at Rachael Rennebeck.
Well, thank you so much, Rachael, for being with us today. It was really a pleasure to hear your story and your inspirational words. And I hope everybody's going to go listen and like and download Yajagoff and follow everything you guys do. And especially if you're a Pittsburgher and you don't know anything about Yajagoff, well, people, you need to get it together because they are the pinnacle of all information Pittsburgh.
Thank you so much. And now you have to come on our podcast.
All right, I'm going to do it. You just call me and let me know.
Do it. Perfect.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks, Rachael. And we'll be right back, so don't go away.
You're my Shero, more than a hero, and I look up to you every single day. Every day. My celebration, my inspiration is to be like you, but in my own way. You're my Shero, more than a hero.
Thanks for sticking around. And I always want to thank Roxanne Charette for writing that song with me, You're My Shero. And that was Roxanne and I singing on that track. Thanks again to Rachael Rennebeck from Yajagoff podcast for being such an amazing, inspiring guest. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you'll go and check out her podcast, Yajagoff, which is all about the wonderful city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania and beyond. Well, I always like to play a song that I've written or co-written. I co-wrote this song with Taylor Cullen and Bill DiLuigi, and I thought it would be fun to play this song because Rachael is from my neck of the woods. I grew up in Poland, Ohio, which is only about 55 miles from Pittsburgh, and I thought this would be a good song to, kind of honor Rachael being somebody from up there where I'm from. And also, Bill DiLuigi is from Pennsylvania, too. So this is called Holy Hometown Ground, and it was released as a single by Taylor Cullen. So go check her version out. You can go back. You won't forget your name. Once you leave it helps you find your way. Turn your wheels and try your wings out. You still got one foot on holy hometown ground. You resurrected like a valley of dry bones. When your heart turns down some abandoned road, when the devil's in the details, the angels track you down. They come flying from holy hometown ground. Oh, it's ordinary. Take a look around. What a sanctuary, my holy hometown ground, my holy hometown ground. Please check out my music on Spotify and at Kirsti.com. We'll be right back.
What's the tech? What's the tech? Tech.
Everybody, I didn't want to tell you that we were going to be doing this What the Tech segment in Florida. That's right. We're down in Florida. We haven't been in Nashville this whole entire episode. We've been down in Florida. See, look, I'm standing here on the beach. Doesn't that make you want to come down here and join us too? Actually, don't get in the car and drive. We are not in Florida. I am standing in front of a green screen. A green screen. I know you've seen these things a million times. You know, if you've watched the weather, who watches the weather out there? Because I constantly watch the weather. I'm kind of a weather junkie. You are watching the weather person stand in front of a green screen. And the green screen's job is to chroma key off of the colors of blue or green. So that's why you'll never see anybody delivering the weather wearing blue or green. Very seldom. Because their body would disappear. It is a really fun thing to have. A green screen has got all kinds of backgrounds that you can, download and that you can use to have fun, to make production segments, anything like that. And you can have all different kinds of settings, like the beach or under the ocean, or you could be staying in front of, somewhere in Rome, the Vatican. It's just really a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to ask Bill to take away this beach image, to take it away. And here I am standing in front of a plain old green screen. Now I'm going to ask him to put it back. Lots of fun. I love it. Oh, if only I was at the beach. And now I want you to do this the next time you're watching some really cool movie or a TV show. See if you notice, if you can tell if that background is real or it's a green screen. Because a lot of productions now save a lot on their budget by using green screen as background. So, you might be watching some cool movie. I love to watch movies. Bill calls them the English crap. It's not crap. It's just like I watch it all the time. And there'll be these amazing backdrops. And you'll think, wow, where are they? They must be somewhere in Ireland. No, they're probably standing in front of a green screen. They're actually delivering their whole scene, this beautiful love scene, in front of, show them again, Bill, a green screen. Not as exciting as if they were there with the wind blowing in their hair, standing on the cliffs of Dover or somewhere romantic like that. Anyway, go get yourself a green screen. They're not that expensive. You can buy them for about $50, and you can have fun playing tricks on your friends, just like I'm trying to do with you, standing in front of the green screen. Hope you guys enjoyed that. What the tech?
Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow. Meow, not bow wow.
Welcome back to Meow Not Bow Wow, one of my favorite segments where we talk about cats and sometimes dogs, but hardly ever. So don't get your hopes up out there, people that are dog lovers. Sorry. Anyway, I thought it was really interesting. I actually looked this up. Are there catpreneurs? Yes, there are. There are catpreneurs, and guess what? A lot of them are women. I know you're shocked. I know. Some of you are out there going, yeah, right, crazy cat ladies. No, they're not. These are women that are making a living from selling products that represent cats very well, I might add. And I wanted to say that the guy who does that Cat from Hell TV show, I've never really watched that show that much because it just upsets me when cats get upset. You know what I mean? I feel bad for them. I just want to jump through the screen and make them feel better. Play with them or give them 3 cans of Fancy Feast, something, anything to calm them down. Anyway, Jackson Galaxy has this cool thing called a cat camp. And because of all this pandemic stuff, unfortunately, I think it's had to be rescheduled. But it's a weekend-long adventure about exploring and celebrating everything you love about our furry friends, the cats. It's a very immersive experience with summer-like atmosphere, including speakers and arts and crafts, adorable, adoptable cats, workshops, and more. So it's all about celebrating cats. And I actually found a subscription service. I think the lady is from somewhere like in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it's a subscription box that you can get that has everything you need for your cat. I think it's called Crazy Cat Ladies. I'll look it up and I'll let you guys know. I was so excited, I can't even remember what it's called. It's so completely amazing. Well, you also probably want to know about Henry. Henry is doing fine. He hasn't gained or lost any weight. And today is the day for him to get his flea medicine. So that's always, a yowling, howling experience. And he doesn't like it. But then he immediately forgets about it when you start to pet him again. So, of course, we don't pet him on where the flea medicine is. We, pet him very carefully on the head. But Henry is doing fine. So thank you so much for asking. I'm kind of depressed that nobody asks about any of the other cats, but they're doing okay too. Anyway, I want to give a big shout out to a female-owned business that I love to patronize in Hermitage, Tennessee, and it's Kokopelli Hair Salon. And so if you are in Hermitage or you're in Nashville and you need to go to a really great salon where they really care about how you look, make you look gorgeous, you want to check out Kokopelli. And a special shout out to my stylist, Meredith Hunt, who is a hair genius. I just got to tell you. So if you want to look as great as I do, because I know you guys are just going, how does she look so good? It's because I go and spend time with the lovely and talented Meredith Hunt. So I hope you'll do that. Well, it's time for us to say goodbye. The time always goes so quickly here at KIRSTIcast, and I'm so glad that you stopped by again. Whether you're listening to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, or you've decided you thought it would be really interesting to go check us out on YouTube, I'm really grateful that you're here. We want to thank our sponsors, WarnerWorks. We also want to thank the Outreach Book, Music Pays My Rent, and if you would love to work with me, I would love to work with you. You can check out what I do at Kirsti.com. You can check my music out at Spotify. And also, you can email me with questions, comments, or concerns about this podcast, or if you or someone you know would make an amazing guest, email me at info@songwritergirl.com. I hope I'm going to see you next time here on KIRSTIcast. I love having you. So glad we're friends. And whatever you do, stay inspired. See you next time. You've been listening to KIRSTIcast.